Hey, gearheads, and welcome. Car, this hybrid era. There's still a lot of people who were against hybrid cars, even though the technology is very much there for racing, obviously, because we saw a great show out there today. But um, just absolutely phenomenal. But Simon Pagenaud, Helio Castroneves were also joined by this year by Colin Braun, who won his first overall 24-hour event. Helio Castroneves winning 3 Daytona 24s in a row. I mean, to win one is incredible. To do it twice is phenomenal. Three in a row, crazy, crazy, man. Over in Supercross in Anaheim, Chase Sexton got the overall in the 450 Triple Crown event out there. Levi Kitchen unseats Jed Lawrence in 250. Lawrence goes down a couple of times, and ultimately he came up just a little bit short of winning 250. And I can honestly say we saw phenomenal racing. Across the board in Supercross down in Anaheim. I mean, Supercross, honestly, if you're sleeping on dirt racing, if you're sleeping on two wheels, you need to get in on it because it has got some of the best racing overall in all of motorsports. Not just right now, but period. These riders are definitely going after it and creating, honestly, a heck of a show. Tomac goes down and causes issues. That caused issues to his overall, I should say. And the Husky drivers, Swoll and Stewart, both out with injuries. Sincerely, we're going to wish them a speedy recovery. We're not sure of their status at this time. As soon as we know something, it'll be up on AmericanRacingNetwork.com. But nothing for the Husqvarna drivers, Jake Swoll and Malcolm Stewart. So we'll let you know what's going on with them. But it's just not a good situation. Back into the world of NASCAR, and go ahead and leave your comments down below if you're watching live here on Sunday, January 29th. But Chase Briscoe signs a multi-year contract extension with Stewart Haas Racing to stay in the number 14 Mahindra Tractors Ford for them. There was a fire at the Resume Brothers racing shop where 3 crew members did get injured. We will talk about that. Helio Castroneves ruling out the 2023 Daytona 500, but he's still open for other races. Timing. He just simply does not have enough time between now and 3 weeks practically to get ready. And I agree with that. You got to have time in order to do that. Seth Haymaker in Supercross out for 250 East with the wrist injury as well. We got some dates, or not dates, but we got concert information announced for the NASCAR Chicago Street Course. Honestly, I'm impressed because you have the Chainsmokers, you have Miranda Lambert, the Black Crows, and Charlie Crockett. I mean, honestly, that's great. Like, I legitimately was impressed with this one. It was like, okay, good on you, Chicago. Good on you, NASCAR, because you legitimately did something right there. Back to Supercross, Marvin Musquin was out for Anaheim too with his wrist injury. We had a couple of major sponsorship signing announcements come through. NHRA, Fire Department Coffee, the official coffee of the NHRA now, and partnering with Brown for his season. You had, I'm butchering his last name, Ryan Ogler, signing El Bando Yankee Tequila for all of the 2023 season. Very cool logo, really. Honestly, it's great. You had JMC Racing teaming up with Team Wilkerson and SAG expanding their sponsorship over there as well. Kind of my own kind of personal to me, Orange Show Speedway announced that their 2023 schedule. I do work with the team out at Orange Show Speedway, and we did have our awards banquet last night. That's why I didn't get to go down to Anaheim, and that's why I didn't get to watch a whole lot of the 24 Hours of Daytona, not as much as I would have liked, because I was hosting an awards banquet last night. And it was great, man. It really was. But we'll talk about Orange Show Speedway and their season, which opens up on March 4th, a little bit later on, actually. Definitely going to be bringing that up. And we got word that the Super Motocross playoff dates have been shifted due to the Pac-12 schedule that got released. Now, personally, why wasn't Supercross, Motocross, and Super Motocross, why weren't they up on this? Why did they announce this before those dates were confirmed? I don't know. I think it's bad planning on their part. I just think it was really stupid on their part, but we know what those official dates are now. Playoff race number 1 at ZMAX Dragway is still going to be on September 9th. Playoff race number 2 at Chicagoland Speedway moving to September 16th. And then the championship finale at the LA Memorial Coliseum in Los Angeles on September 23rd. So all 17 rounds of Supercross and 11 rounds of Pro Motocross tickets are on sale now. You could definitely go check those out. And yes, the playoff tickets are on sale as well. So if you're thinking, I want to go check out some extremely cool racing, get up on those tickets now, because they're going to go pretty darn quickly. So I want to hear from you guys in the chat. What do we want to talk about tonight? I want to talk about this. Did y'all see this epic finish in Daytona in the LMP2 class? Because look at this. Look at this run. Seriously. This is coming to the checkered flag on the white flag. Yeah, getting around the lapper right there. It's between that red car and that blue third car in line. And watch this run coming off of what is normally turn 4 in Daytona. Coming to the line. I mean, the draft, the slipstream, there they go. And at the line, nabs it. 24 hours, and it comes down to that. Are you kidding me? I mean, that is simply incredible. I was blown away by that. I didn't get a chance to watch this live, but my gosh, here's another look at it. I can't fathom racing for 24 hours, and it comes down to a last lap pass. I mean, out of the hundreds of laps that you run throughout the course of 24 hours, there wasn't one instance where you could have done something a little bit differently. I mean, look at this. I'm in awe, sincerely. I mean, and y'all were like, oh, the hybrid cars aren't going to be good for racing. Look at that. Look at the 24 hours, and that's the result. I mean, huh? Look at that. That is amazing. I'm still blown away by that, truly, because I thought it was just absolutely phenomenal. And yeah, Supercross produced some great racing, because he is just in better shape than Webb and Tomac right now, physically. And that is a huge component in it. But who makes the least amount of mistakes is where this championship is really going to break through. But you could see clicking on this story. Garage 56. Yeah, we got word, finally, I should say, of the driver lineup. It became official over the weekend. But you have Jimmy Johnson, Mike Rockenfeller, and Jenson Button all piloting this car at Le Mans for the 100th anniversary of the 24-hour of Le Mans. I mean, honestly, I don't think you could have done any better. I mean, honestly, it's a phenomenal car. It's a phenomenal program. If you haven't kept up with the story all season, well, going back to last season, I should say, Hendrick Motorsports, Chevrolet, and NASCAR all teaming up for the Garage 56 entry, this car right here. And you can see there's different fins. There's different things that they've done to this NASCAR Cup Series car, this next-gen car that, honestly, in my opinion, seems to have brought that car's endurance capabilities, but also the overall capabilities of the car, aero-wise, handling-wise, significantly up. Side mirrors, side fins, front fins. The underbody, from what I understand, has been changed. The specifications of the car have not been released. They are being shared with other NASCAR Cup teams, which is great because the other NASCAR Cup teams all kind of complained, oh, NASCAR, this is testing time for this car, and Oh, we need as much time as we can with this new car. We don't have testing. Well, why did Hendrick Motorsports win the championship in 2022? Oh, wait, they didn't. So you saw a lot of the Cup teams complaining and moaning, oh, we didn't get the same test time. We want that data. And, I mean, Penske won the championship with Ford. So, I mean, clearly Hendrick Motorsports didn't exactly get an advantage, or they did and they sandbagged, which is really stupid if that's the case, but I doubt that's the case. So, you got a 7-time NASCAR champ with Jimmy Johnson, a former 24-hour Le Mans winner, Mike Rockenfeller, and the 2009, I should say, F1 world champ Jenson Button, all in this next-gen Chevrolet Camaro ZL1. Honestly, incredible. It still needs to get approved. This car still needs to get approved to run Le Mans. It's a special Garage 56 entry, and honestly, I think they're legitimately going to have a shot with this lineup. I mean, the fact that Jimmy Johnson, the 7-time NASCAR Cup champ, is probably the weakest link in your driver lineup, and he's no weak link, is honestly saying something. Because you got a former winner, you got an F1 champ, and you have Jimmy Johnson. Now, Johnson, in my opinion, isn't the best road racer, but he's still a 7-time NASCAR Cup champ, and that needs to be recognized and acknowledged because, honestly, just incredible. Across the board. I want to hear what you guys have to say in the chat. What do you guys want to talk about tonight? I do think that this car and Le Mans is going to bring about changes with the next-gen car. Chevy has already come forward saying, yes, we do see some improvements that we can make to this car. We've approached NASCAR about it, and they've been talking about it. What comes about that, I don't know. I don't think we're going to see necessarily changes anytime soon. I think the earliest, we're talking the halfway point of the 2023 season, if not the 2024 season. But I think that this car and all the testing that they've done definitely has given, not necessarily Hendrick Motorsports, but Chevrolet and NASCAR a host of notes on what this car is capable of and what needs to change, how to improve it. I mean, I'm hoping for better not road course racing, but short track racing in the Cup Series out of this car. Garbage racing that we saw in the 2023 season or 2022 season on short tracks. Garbage. NASCAR is about to tear up the Auto Club Speedway in Fontana, California, and turn that 2-mile oval into a half-mile Bristol-Martinsville hybrid, which I love the idea. I don't love the idea with the 2022 Cup car. I would have preferred it with, the 2020 Cup car, personally, or the 2021 one, but not this next-gen car. This next-gen car, I think, still needs a lot of testing, and frankly, I hope NASCAR does have a number of test sessions that have been announced for the 2023 season, and I hope NASCAR holds some more open testing. In order to shake down these cars, in order to see what they're truly capable of, but also to see if there can be improvements. Because honestly, if these cars handle better, if their parts hold up better, that's only going to benefit the fans with producing, hopefully, better racing. So I'm hoping that all of that comes about sometime in the near future, but we're going to have to wait and see. We got word from NASCAR that today that Rob Lowe has been named the Grand Marshal for the Busch Light Clash next Sunday. And by the way, next Sunday, this show, this live stream will be live from the LA Coliseum post-race, the Busch Light Clash at the LA Coliseum. Thank you to NASCAR for allowing that to happen. We're still working on the location. We should have that presumably Friday afternoon, if not Saturday morning, and we will make an announcement on the YouTube channel, on my social medias, everywhere. It'll go everywhere, including AmericanRacingNetwork.com. What if racing in the chat? I'm worried for North Wilkesboro because if they use the 2022 short track package, there's a strong chance the race will be awful. What if I agree? 100% I agree with you on that one. I will go a step further. I will say, no matter what, the North Wilkesboro race will be a horrible on-track race. I said it. It's going to be a bad race. The nostalgia is going to be off the charts. Very cool. Very excited for that. Don't get me wrong. But not with this car. Period. The truck race, probably going to be phenomenal. But this car does not produce good short track racing. I wish that were the case. I wish we could say, yes, these next gen cars are great on the short tracks. They're not. They're horrible. I would argue even road courses could be better. The mile and a half's honestly phenomenal. I never, ever thought I'd be saying this. I want more mile and a half races. I love the schedule as it is, honestly. I love the street course. I love everything that we have. I frankly wish we would cut back Talladega and Atlanta to one race each, because that's a little too much on the super speedway action, in my opinion. But give those races to literally any mile and a half track. Period. I mean, yeah, Kansas was a pretty darn good race, if I do say so myself, but got Chicagoland. Everybody's, oh, I want Chicagoland back. I want Chicagoland back, which honestly, yes, it's got some phenomenal racing, but no one goes to that race. NASCAR is a business. You got to go to these races, and that track is almost 100 damn miles out of town. It's a pretty long drive, and to ask fans these days to drive that far for a race is a hard sale, frankly. I would know. I help the track promoter at Orange Show Speedway, and it's tough enough out there for us, and we're located in, per capita, one of the poorest, ruralest parts of all of California. We're actually one of the top 5 worst in the entire country, San Bernardino. And I'm not knocking San Bernardino. There's nothing wrong with San Bernardino or the people there. It's just there isn't a lot of money in that town, and everything is worn down, shuttered, and closed down. It's basically the biggest version of Radiator Springs ever. It's at one point was a very bustling, populated town, and it still is very populated, but it's nowhere near bustling. A lot of businesses are closed, and Orange Show Speedway has been in San Bernardino for 75 years. The town itself is, I think, 120 years old at this point. So the track itself has been a massive part of San Bernardino history, and we're going to keep it alive in 2023. It's tougher than ever. I mean, anybody who works at a short track knows that. But honestly, we're working against the grain a little bit. I will go ahead and see if we could pull this up. Hang on. There it is. Here is a look at our schedule for the 2023 season. The season opener on March 4th. Pro Late Model, Street Stock, Pony Stock, Sport Compact, and Pro 4s that night. We're very much looking forward to our 76th season. Fair night. So there is a fair happening at the Orange Show Event Center, and it's double points that night for the Pro Late Model, Street Stock, Pony Stock, Sport Compacts, Pro 4, and American Race Trucks. We're very excited about that. You buy a ticket for the fair, not only do you get into the fair, but you get into our races. Then on May 6th, the first of 4 rounds at Orange Show Speedway, the first of 5 overall in 2023 for Hot Pit Auto Fest. It is a local drifting competition that will see some of the best drifters, amateur and pro, in all of California and the surrounding areas come down. We had drivers coming down from Canada for this race last year, and we're excited to bring them back. And then May 13th, Orange Show Speedway is joining NASCAR's Throwback Weekend. We're throwing it back to the 80s on May 13th. When NASCAR's in Darlington, we'll be throwing it back to the 80s with Pro Late Model, Street Stock, Pony Stock, Sport Compact, Pro 4, American Race Truck, and our first Junior Fan Club race of the season. The Junior Fan Club is a bicycle race that we let kids 12 and under race in. They do get a free meal, a free Fifth Gear Barbecue kids meal for simply participating. And yes, it does give out a trophy for whichever one of the Junior Fan Club racers can race their bicycle around our quarter mile track first. And I tell parents all the time, you bring your kid out, you burn off their energy, and you get them fed. Pretty good deal. But you could see we have a little bit of a summer break. No races in the month of June. It's just simply too hot for our fans and our drivers out there. So for safety's sake, no racing in June. July 8th, we will see Hot Pit Auto Fest Round 3. Then again on August 19th for Hot Pit Auto Fest Round 4. We got the Street Stock 100 coming up on August 26th. September night, San Bernardino night. I talked about San Bernardino Pride. We're going to definitely embody that on September 9th. October 14th, it is the Jerry Burhot Pro Late Model 100 and the Trunk or Treat event on track. We're really excited about that one. And finally, we wrap up everything with our second double points night and our championship night on November 11th with the Pro Late Model Street Stock Pro 4, the Pony Stock 50, Sport Compact, and American Racetracks. You can check out orangeshowspeedway.org for more information. And actually, I think we will right now, just to make things easier. Yeah. I'm not saying I'm the guy who does the website, but I'm not the guy that does the website. So we're very much looking forward to some phenomenal racing out here in 2023. orangeshowspeedway.org if you want to check it on out. And you can see our prices right here, pretty reasonable. $15 for adults, 10 for kids. We wish we could go lower. This is as low as we can go and still keep the doors open. But honestly, we have some great partners that work with us out at Orange Show Speedway, and we're very much excited to be back in 2023. But I want to hear from you guys in the chat. What are you guys thinking about? What are you guys really thinking is going to happen in 2023 in the NASCAR schedule specifically? Because honestly, we've seen some great racing this season. I think like that's definitely let me back up. We saw some great racing last season. We really did. But honestly, this year it's going to be interesting. I haven't put out my preview video yet. I'm going to be doing that this week actually. But I want to hear from you. What do you think about everything that's happening in 2023? You can kind of see here, this is a video that's actually going to be debuting later this week for our kind of our 2022 LA Clash highlight reel, everything that we saw out at the LA Clash in 2022. I put an hour-long video together that was, pretty comprehensive. If you're not in the LA area and you couldn't make it out, you definitely need to be here for the second race in the LA Coliseum, because this track is honestly phenomenal. I can honestly say that I had a lot of fun, and Orange Show Speedway is shaped almost exactly like this. It's virtually identical, but honestly, it was great. I loved it. The atmosphere, everything was just so phenomenal. It was very similar to what I would imagine Bristol is, but very LA at the same time, and that is something that, frankly, we need more of. I had a lot of fun when we went out to the Clash last year. I'm going to get to do it again next weekend, just a few days away, so I'm very excited. They do still have tickets available, NASCAR.com/tickets if you want to get your tickets. We're working with NASCAR to try to figure out where we're doing this show from with your live comments and questions at the end of the LA Clash. We were told we could do it on track. That's kind of cool. That like definitely is something I'm interested in. We could do it from the stands. We could do it from the fan zone that's kind of clearing out. But we have to get security and all these other things involved. So I want to do it in the fan zone, but if security and insurance doesn't allow it to happen, it unfortunately won't. So we're gonna honestly wait and see where we end up doing the show from at the end of the LA Clash next weekend. But very excited for that. And yes, we're doing the exact same thing when NASCAR heads out to Auto Club Speedway. We're going to be doing a video similar to this, and we're also going to be doing the post-race show out there, so I'm pretty excited about that. Now, what's going on with me? I'm moving. I don't know if you can tell, but books are disappearing and bookshelves are disappearing because we got to get into the new place sometime in the next couple of weeks here. So, yeah, I'm in the process of moving. So that's good times. I'm not stressed at all from that. How can you tell? And just trying to get everything done and ready to go has been kind of a pain in the butt. But I'm very much looking forward to going to the Clash next weekend. To see these cars up close for the first ever race with these cars was just so darn cool. Got a chance to catch up with some of the drivers and the crew too last year, so that was a whole lot of fun, and I'm very much looking forward to going back out in a days actually, which is crazy to me that the new season's here. And yes, we did the whole merch, crawl, I guess that's what you want to call it. So yeah, I'm very much looking for the clash. In the chat, What If Racing, no leak on the game code of the Motorsport Game employee, so I don't know what happened with that situation. Yes. I am currently working on a new story, on an update for that story. I will say, the only thing I can say for now is to be continued. I wish I could say more. I cannot confirm anything with that situation. I have my suspicions, I have my assumptions, but until I hear from at least one other source, I cannot confirm anything. Personally, I wait until I have 3 sources on anything that I hear, whether that is a schedule change, just anything in general that comes out that is news, that is newsworthy. If I don't have at least 3 confirmed separate sources, I will not run with it. I do not have 3 sources that can confirm what is happening at Motorsport Games right now because it is an extraordinarily fluid situation. I hear there are other reporters also chasing this story, one in particular on Twitter, that appears to be as close as I am to the situation, and good for them. I'm excited. I hope that they can confirm things before I can, frankly. Honestly, I just want the story out there. I don't care about being the first. I care about being right. And at this time, I can't confirm what is happening at Motorsport Games. But as soon as I can, it's going out on Twitter. It's going everywhere. It is a story that I am closely following. But again, nothing confirmable or reportable at this time, unfortunately. As soon as I know more, I'll say more, man. I wish I could tell you more. I wish I could confirm and talk to people right now. So publicly, but they won't go on camera. They won't go on the record, unfortunately. And my sources have family members. They have their careers to think about, and I'm not going to ruin somebody's life just so that I can be the first to a story. It's just not my style. In the chat, Swifty Guy, yeah, I'd like to really know if NASCAR 23 is coming for consoles or no. It looks bad at this point in time. Swifty, I agree with you. I can confirm that there are less than 10 people currently working on NASCAR 23. At least there were 2 weeks ago. I can't tell you what's happened since because I'm still waiting for sources to get back to me. And that's a shame. I hope that Motorsport Games puts people on NASCAR 23 that need to be on it. Honestly, in my personal opinion, you need 30 to 40 programmers working on a game like that. They have a fourth of what is necessary, in my opinion. So, I don't know. It doesn't look good. But, I mean, maybe new investors can come in and right the ship and bring, new people in and really expand that dev team and really work on that game, But for the time being, we don't know. I simply do not know if NASCAR 23 will literally come out this year, and that is just, it's depressing. If I'm being blunt, it's depressing. That's the only way I can truly describe it. So we will have to wait and see at this point. But yeah, let me know in the chat, are you guys going to the LA Clash? Because I'm thinking about doing a meetup, and it would be really cool if... It is allergy season. I apologize. It's a live show. What If Racing in the chat. How many employees did they have working on the NASCAR game? Was it always under 10 people? No. At one point, they had at least 25 working on it, if not more, that I can confirm. But that was at the tail end of the 2022 season. So, yeah. I honestly just do not know. Cannot confirm. Wish that we could. Who's on that program now, but nothing has really changed, unfortunately. Not much has changed, I should say, which is really depressing. I want a good game. Like, is that so much to ask as a NASCAR fan, as a gamer? Like, to just ask for a good game? I guess it is in Motorsport Games' case. I don't know. It is what it is. They're the only developer. Oh, there's Larson being Larson. Yeah, we were all kind of shocked that he did that. That was like some Kyle Busch, Joey Logano moves right there, and it came out of Larson. Kind of blew us all away. But it was still pretty darn cool, man. I loved this race, honestly. It was great. I had so much fun. I've never experienced a motorsport event quite like that. Seriously, and I mean that in the best possible way. So I'm looking forward to going back to the LA Clash. This full video will be available this week, so we're very much looking forward to that one. But yeah, I don't know as far as the as far as Motorsport Games is concerned. I really don't have an update at this time that I can confirm. I really want to, but nothing that is reportable at this time, unfortunately. Which is just so depressing. I mean, I can't even tell you. This is a debate I want to have, seriously. Other than NASCAR Thunder 2004, best NASCAR video game? Let me know in the chat. Because this is a hard one for me. Because I feel like you can't pick like NASCAR Thunder 2003 because that's almost identical to 04. Just a bunch of little changes happen, which is what I would love to see these days. But no. Is it Total Team Control NASCAR 06 Total Team Control, or is it NASCAR 05 Chase for the Cup? Because Chase for the Cup was pretty darn good. It wasn't as detailed as Thunder 04, but it was still pretty darn good. In the chat, NASCAR King 602 PS5. Motorsport Game stock is $2 now. They were at $1 earlier today. Also, I got NASCAR Thunder 03 and 04 Chase for the Cup, and for Speed, Need for Speed Most Wanted. All good games. Very good, sir. Swifty guy in the chat. I guess it's not only impossible to get a good game, but it's also impossible to get a game at all. NASCAR should be embarrassed and humiliated by this huge black eye for them. You're not wrong, Swifty guy. I mean, I have talked to NASCAR about this personally, about the Motorsport Games console gaming system, and I will say this. NASCAR is prioritizing their video game division now more than they have in the past. This is a situation that is ever ongoing. There are literally a dozen paths this could go down, but NASCAR is closely monitoring the situation. That's all I can say. That's all I could say. Everything else is non-reportable. The millisecond I can report it, you know I'm going to hit report on the story on AmericanRacingNetwork.com and my Twitter feed. But for now, yeah, nothing that legally can be done. Contracts are sometimes wonderful things that make sure that people get what they're promised, and they're also really bad things sometimes because they prevent certain parties from talking about certain parties. That's all I can say. Wish I could say more. But yeah, NASCAR Thunder 03, NASCAR Thunder 04, in my opinion, are almost the same game. But 04 is clearly, in my opinion, the best NASCAR game of all time. But other than NASCAR Thunder 2004, which is the best? NASCAR 05 Chase for the Cup introduced the ladder, the progression ladder that we saw in games like Dirt to Daytona, and that we did also get in NASCAR Heat 2, 3, 4, and 5. I mean, Total Team Control, when EA did that one was a shocker because you could switch into other cars. And I got to admit, I had a lot of fun with that because you'd overpower your car and get them to the front, and then you'd get on a bigger team and you take that guy who was always running near the back and try to race through the field and try to get all of your cars to finish 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 in some cases. That was really cool for me back in the day. I loved that game, but honestly, best NASCAR video game other than NASCAR Thunder 2004. I don't know, man. I might have to give it to NASCAR 05, Chase for the Cup. I mean, you start that sequence with Ryan Newman and everything, and it just kind of throws you into it, and you have this really cool sense of like going for it. Um, I loved that back in the day, man. That was so much fun when that game came out brand new. I remember buying it, and I had a lot of fun with that one. So that one's up there for me. Um, but as far as this season is concerned, let's kind of go through some of these drivers and these team rosters, and this will quasi be our run through preview of the season. Um, some changes, the big changes that are happening this year. You have AJ Allmendinger to the 16 full time. He'll win a race or two or three, and he will make the playoffs. Period. Period. And honestly, it wouldn't surprise me if he won at a plate track. It wouldn't surprise me if he won the Daytona 500. But obviously, the road courses are going to be kind of the shoe-ins for him. He'll be the guy to beat on those tracks. Um, the big one, Kyle Busch moving over to from Joe Gibbs Racing to the number 8 for RCR. I think they're going to struggle. I think Kyle eventually will win in that car. I don't know how long that'll take. It could be a few weeks. It could be a few months. It could take all season. He could not win a race until well into the playoffs and miss the playoffs. I don't know. But the fact that he's in that situation is just fascinating to me. But I don't know. It's definitely going to be an interesting situation. The question is when does that really come about, and when does that really start to show fruit? I think Kyle is going to get impatient. I think he's going to struggle in that car, and I think he's definitely a guy who's going to let it be known that he's frustrated. This isn't like a Joe Gibbs Racing situation where he has the ability to go out there and win. It's a situation that he's going to struggle. The equipment's not there. Not like Joe Gibbs Racing. He has nowhere near the resources that he had when he was at Joe Gibbs Racing. And it's really going to be bad for him, man. I think Kyle Busch in 2023, is he a better driver than Tyler Reddick? I'll say they're about the same. I know, like, that's going to piss off a lot of people. They're almost the same driver because Kyle Busch has not been that great lately. The last couple of seasons, he's been struggling. And is that a Joe Gibbs Racing thing? Is that a Kyle Busch thing? We don't know, but he was winning races, and when he races more is when he gets better. The more seat time he has, the better he gets. And that is just a fact of Kyle Busch. But Kyle Busch is in a situation where he's not the youngest driver anymore. I think he's got more years behind him than he has in front of him. And honestly, I think he'll win, because clearly Tyler Reddick was able to win it. I mean, Austin Dillon was able to win in the 3 car. I mean, so clearly RCR does have decent equipment that is capable of winning races. But for Kyle, I think things are going, the ducks are all going to have to line up perfectly, and the equipment's going to have to last. Will the equipment last Kyle Busch? I don't know. It's going to be fascinating to watch. A lot of people are saying, yeah, he's going to go out there and he's going to win races, make the playoffs. Yeah. I think he'll struggle to make the playoffs. I really do. Kyle Busch being replaced by Ty Gibbs, who wants his own identity. So instead of running Kyle Busch as number 18, he's going to run Kyle Busch as number 54. That's a great move. That's the stupidest move ever. Because before the 18 belonged to Kyle Busch, it belonged to Joe Gibbs Racing. And more specifically, Gibbs. Why you wouldn't put a Ty Gibbs in the number 18 is beyond me. I think this is going to be a situation. This is a situation almost identical to what we saw with Chase Elliott, where Elliott ran the 24 and everybody was like, to him running the 24, and then he switched over to the 9, and it was like, yay, he did it. He's in his own car now. It's his own identity. I think it's the same thing. I think that Gibbs is literally thinking, we'll give that 18 a year or two off, and then we'll change that 54 back into the 18. Because if you did want to give Ty Gibbs his own identity, quote unquote, why'd you put him in the car number that Kyle Busch made famous? Come on, man. That's just stupid. But Gibbs is going to struggle. He is, because he didn't show flashes of brilliance this season. I think everybody else at Gibbs is going to struggle, except for Ty. Ty's going to obviously get the best equipment. He's obviously going to get special treatment over there. And he should. He's the owner's grandson. I mean, does it suck? Yeah, because this spoiled brat is being handed the keys to the kingdom. I mean, tough. It is what it is. I just wish it was a little bit bigger than that. Kyle Busch in the chat, NASCAR King, 602. Kyle Busch is going to have one more big career resurgence because he's coming into his peak. NASCAR King, what makes you think he's in his peak? He's coming into his peak because he's moving from an organization that was hands down one of the best in the garage area to one that is quasi having a resurgence, but was that resurgence because of things that are happening internally at RCR? Or was it more Tyler Rennick being Tyler Rennick winning in bad equipment? I don't know. I tend to think that it was Tyler Rennick because you look at what he did when he got in RCR's Xfinity program. That was a program that struggled, that didn't really have a whole lot of sponsors, and he went out and won the championship. And then the very next year, that car was struggling again. So I think it's more like you need to have a great driver in this bad equipment. I do think that RCR is not great equipment. I think it's BC average equipment. And they're racers. They're going to go out there. They're going to give it their all. They're going to put on a heck of a show. But I do not think Kyle Busch is about to have a career resurgence. I think he has less than 5 Cup wins in him, if that. Period. But let me know what you think, NASCAR King. What evidence are you seeing? Is it a gut feeling? If it's a gut feeling, I can respect that. But if there's evidence, let me know, because I don't see evidence that Kyle Busch is going to have a great year or a career resurgence anytime soon. In chat, Swift guy. He belongs in the Cup Series and Motor Club. Like, uh, but I think the guy two guys I have my eyes on, Ryan Pierce, who replaces Cole Custer in the 41. All right, Pierce, you kind of sat in the driver or in the passenger seat for the last few years as far as your career was concerned to get into this position. And yes, he bought his way into that car. That's not a breaking news headline. He brought sponsors over to that 41 that frankly bought him in. Cole Custer got demoted down to the Xfinity Series. I agree on that for Cole. I think personally, I would rather win on a Saturday or a Friday night than struggle on Sunday, personally. So I hope Cole finds success in the 00 again. I don't think he won't. I think he'll be a shoo-in. I think he's going to go out there and win 10 plus races in the 00 in Xfinity. Ryan Pierce needs to show that he is definitely a guy that needs to be kept in that 41 because, frankly, if not, oh boy, is it going to be bad. No amount of sponsors can save you unless you're Eric Almirola. Kurt Busch, him stepping away is disappointing. I'm going to miss Kurt a lot. Tyler Rennick is definitely a guy to keep an eye on in that number 45. I think he'll have a lot of wins. I do think that Tyler Rennick is going to go out there and win a lot because he won in an RCR Chevy. What makes you think he's not going to win in a car that is supposedly the same equipment that Gibbs is getting? Honestly, he should do good. I think Tyler Reddick is going to be the new face of Toyota, period. Because you have Martin Truex Jr., who presumably is going to be retiring at the end of the 2023 season, unless he decides to come back. And you have Denny Hamlin, who is not aging gracefully. We all saw his Botoxed face for Media Day and in the Bob Pockers interview questions. So I don't think Denny Hamlin has a whole lot of victories ahead of him. He sure as hell doesn't have a championship run in him, which is really sad. And then you see him kind of complaining on his new podcast for Dale Earnhardt Jr. that they're doing this year, which, by the way, I'm excited for. He was complaining, saying, "Oh, I hate that I raced in the Jimmy Johnson era because I didn't win championships because of Jimmy." Really? Because there were 2 years after Jimmy Johnson where you didn't win championships either. So now it's Jimmy Johnson's fault that Denny Hamlin never won a championship, which the guy just honestly never had the mental strength to do it. I mean, it is very well documented, and there is nothing wrong with this. He had some issues with his confidence, with his mental strength, and he sought help for that, and great for him. But I don't think he's 100% of the way there. I don't think he will ever win a NASCAR Cup championship, period, which is a shame. Do I think he's as good as Mark Martin? Hell no. Hell no. But he definitely is the Mark Martin of this era. And to be clear, he does not have 5+ seasons in him. He's got under 5 seasons. NASCAR King in the chat. It's in my gut. Also, the peak of the driver is 39 to 43. Yes, but there's a lot of factors behind that. I do see your logic there, NASCAR King, but not all drivers are like fine wine. They don't get better with age. Some, in most cases, get worse. There are a few exceptions. Jimmy Johnson was the outlier. Kurt Busch is definitely the outlier on that. Kevin Harvick, the outlier on that. But honestly, Kyle Busch was so good early on in his career, and he still is. He's still a great driver. I just think he's a guy who needs perfect equipment in order to win, because he didn't win in a Hendrick Chevy that much. He won a good amount, but not that much. And at Toyota, he was the cream of the crop. He was their top guy for many years. And he's one of the top guys at Chevy now. But honestly, he was getting great equipment right up until Ty Gibbs started in the Xfinity Series and started his career. And when that happened, all of a sudden those Gibbs resources got, frankly, shifted over to the owner's grandson. That's what happened. And Kyle didn't get that peak equipment anymore. Instead, he got the BC stuff, and he only won one race on, frankly, a luck and being on a right place at the right time at Bristol Dirt. At the time, I did not think that that was going to be his last win with Joe Gibbs Racing, but we need to face the possibility that that could be Kyle Busch's final Cup career victory, period. And I know that's strong words. He's too good to not win again in the Cup Series, but the fact of the matter is he's going to lesser equipment with RCR in that 8 car. It's just a fact. Maybe RCR can step it up, and maybe they brought massive changes during the offseason, and maybe their equipment got significantly better during the offseason and will continue to do so throughout the 2023 season. But I highly doubt that, and I feel like you're holding your breath if you're reliant on that. You need to be realistic. And my whole thing is set your expectations low so that if those are at least met, well, that's what you expected, and if they exceed them, then great. It's better than we thought it would be. I'm leaning towards Kyle Busch is going to have a bad year. Jimmy Johnson in that third Legacy Motor Club car, why? What's the point? Jimmy, I think, is tainting his career with this. I see why he's doing it. He wants to go out there and he wants to have some fun. Frankly, they're probably trying to attract more sponsors. Hey, sponsor Jimmy Johnson and we'll give you a discount on sponsoring a Noah Gragson race or an Eric Almirola, or not an Eric Almirola, but an Eric Jones race. Maybe that's the case. I don't know, but I don't like Jimmy Johnson returning because he wasn't good the last few years in his career. And you look at it, in 2020, no wins in the 48 car. The 48 car essentially became the 5 for Kyle Larson. Larson goes out and wins 10 races in the exact same car. That's the fact, man. That's just what I think. I think Eric Almirola and Trackhouse kind of go, or excuse me, Ross Chastain at Trackhouse in the number one. I think they're going to win. I just don't think that it's going to be anytime soon. Um, oh, good with the mic issues? Cool. Thank you for that heads up. I have a bad connector here. I will be replacing that in the move. Michael Turner in the chat. Well, I'll hang on. Let's go through all these one by one. Jackhammer JT, what the hell happened to the Motorsport Game Lake? Again, if you're just joining the program, earlier I said I cannot report anything yet. Nothing I can confirm. I always wait till I get at least 2 or preferably 3 sources confirming anything. I do not have 3 sources that I'm comfortable with reporting on the information I have. I don't, period. I'm sorry. I have journalistic integrity. I'm going to hang on to that until I can confirm something. It'll be up on AmericanRacingNetwork.com as soon as I can report it, but I can't at the moment. What if in the chat his IndyCar stats were horrible too? Yeah, they were. Those were pretty darn bad. Like, very, very, very bad. Michael Turner, my prediction is that Motorsport Games ends up closing their doors for good. I don't disagree with you there, Michael. That's honestly probably a good one. Thank you, Jack Hammer, in the chat for the mic issues. Thank you for giving me the heads up because I have honestly this mic has been here in my studio for gosh, probably 10 years at this point. So this connector is not the best. She's seen things, so I'm gonna get that changed out with a better one here. It's just time. So Swifty guy in the chat. I think Jimmy will do much better this year. He could squeak out a couple of top tens. That's the best case scenario. I think top tens are the extreme best case scenario. What honestly information do you have? What are you seeing that I don't? Because honestly, I don't think I do not think that's going to be a good thing. We'll see how he adapts to the next gen car when in traffic. But I don't have a whole lot of faith, Swifty guy. Jackhammer in the chat. Jimmy is probably going to run Dover, Wilkes, Charlotte, and the Charlotte Roval. He did say at least 5 races, and in this order, I think he said he's doing the 500, so he's doing the 500. I think he'll do Auto Club because that's his home track. That's the last race on the 2 mile. That is a great track. He's got a lot of family and friends in that area, in this area, I should say, because I'm not too far from the track either. So I think he's going to run Auto Club's final 2 mile race. I do think he's going to run the All-Star race at Wilkesboro, probably Charlotte. Dover, I don't know. Charlotte Roval, why? I mean, no offense to the Charlotte Roval, but why? But those are 3 races or 4 races right there. So where does that 5th one come up? I don't know. We'll have to wait and see what he announces. I know for a fact he hasn't decided yet. At least as of mid last week, he hadn't decided. So it's 100% up to him. It's 100% up to what the sponsorship situation is over there. But I know that Jimmy can literally just pull money out of his pocket and fund his own car in the Cup Series. So, I don't think it's going to be a big deal. Going through the rest of the field, Chastain, the number 1 Trackhouse Chevy team. I think that the field's caught up. I don't think they're going to win as many races as they did in 2022. I think they'll win maybe 1 or 2 in that organization. Whether Ross or Suarez win it, I don't know. I think Chastain definitely is going to be the guy to win at least one of them, though. But will the 99 car get a victory? I don't know. I honestly don't know. It's going to be a let's see how everybody's programs develop and go forward. Austin Cindric and the number 2 Penske Ford and Penske as a whole, they're going to pick up where they left off last year, quietly having a phenomenal year. Cindric definitely has a shot to win here and there on the super speedways, and he's a road course guy, so he's going to be strong on those. But I don't know. I think Cindric is going to win a race or 2, but I don't necessarily see him being a playoff contender. We'll have to wait and see. In the chat, Jackhammer YT, honestly, I think Dover, since most of 2022 finished second, Charlotte Roval, honestly, I don't know why I said that. Laughing, seriously, I agree with Auto Club. Thank you. Also in the chat, NASCAR King, hey, Alan, any guess on any rain for the Daytona 500 this year? It did in 2020 and 2021. I think the big teams are caught up now. Yeah, I agree with you on that, NASCAR King. Rain in the forecast, way too early to predict that. I can tell you what the forecast is right now. In fact, I'm probably going to look that up real quick just so that I can see what the forecast is in Daytona. But I can tell you right now, it's going to change. Having done this with Orange Show Speedway as far as trying to predict weather and things, you can't really rely on this yet. Oh, come on. Stupid pop-up ads. In the chat, 2022 finally broke the curse. Swifty guy in the chat, I think Cindric could be the most improved driver this year. He's definitely got a possibility, a strong possibility to do that. Jackhammer in the chat, if it rains, I swear. I mean, are you going? It sounds like you're going. Come on. I clicked the monthly. Come on. Let's take a look. Come on. Ooh, it's raining. Oh, I hit the wrong button. Yeah, that website's actually pretty darn good, Jackhammer. But I mean, you can't predict rain in Florida. You can't predict rain, period. You're going in 2024. That's cool. Knock on wood. Doesn't look like it at this time. It's going to be in the 70s, according to weather reports, but it is raining on the 23rd. So, and there is a small cell coming in on the 20th. Looks like it's going to be cloud. I don't know. It's raining as late as February 6th. So, I don't know. This isn't one of those I don't know kind of things, because the race is happening. The qualifying race is on the 15th. The dual race is on the 16th, and then the race on the 19th. So, I mean, on the race is on the 19th. On the 20th, clouds are in the forecast, high 60s, and then rain a few days later. So that cell could come in early, but it looks like it's sunny on the 15th, cloudy on Thursday, sunny again on Friday, cloudy on Saturday, and somewhat sunnier on Sunday the 19th as of now, which tells me it's definitely raining in Daytona this year for the 5 for Speed Week. Just assume it's raining. Plan for rain. Because if it doesn't rain, then you're going to be pleasantly surprised. And if it does, well, then crap. So, yeah. But going back to our kind of driver rundown, Austin Dillon, RCR, they're going to be better. But honestly, they're a team that, until Tyler Reddick, frankly, this last year, they were a team that won one race every 2 to 3 years. So, I mean, the definition of good could literally be, we won a race this year, and then ran 30th every other weekend. That seriously could be the benchmark of good for RCR. So, I don't know. I think they're going to run better, but not great. Sorry, not sorry. Kevin Harvick in the 4 and Stewart Haas Racing. It's Harvick's last year. Because of that, he is going to be distracted. Every week he's getting it's the last time you're racing out here. And it's not going to be a really good environment to try to create a playoff run, because he has that added pressure of, do I make the playoffs? Do I win the championship this year? Does he have a shot at it? No. Ever since he honestly got turned and got into that mess at Martinsville, in my opinion, he has not been the same driver. It's like all of his talent just came spinning out of him that morning. I don't know, or that night, I should say. I don't know. But I wish him all the best. I hope to see him in victory lane once or twice this season. But if he wins once in 2023, that'll be enough. Honestly, just give me a little bit of a Harvick victory, just to break 61 and to just give us a little bit of, it's his last one. Treat the next one like his last one, because it is for Kevin Harvick. The rest of Stewart Haas Racing, Eric Amarola will continue to be mediocre at best. The 41 hopefully will have a better year than Cole Custer, but that's not a high mark to clear. And the 14 will win a race at some point, make the playoffs, potentially more. Cool. Not sure what happened there, but yeah, I got the mic fixed. Thank you for that. No, I do not think that Chase Elliott is going to have a good run in the Daytona 500. I think he'll be up there near the front at the end, but it honestly comes down to where the run is going down the back straightaway. which comes down to how you set up the last 2 laps. I don't know. It's not going to be great, but we'll see. Um, Jackhammer. The funny thing is, Harvick was one of the top 10 active drivers who raced at Wilkesboro. Yeah, I mean, he raced laps at Wilkesboro when it was the COT at the end of the, I think that was 2010 season. Um, yeah, but I mean that means nothing because this car is so vastly different. And do you remember a lap that you ran 10 years ago? I surely didn't. Maybe he does, but it's a different car, so I don't know. NASCAR King in the chat, because I went to Daytona in July and was all wet, and February is Florida severe weather season, but I'm excited for the season and the 9 team. I mean, hopefully they have a good year. I think they're going to have at least, and it brings us into this. We're talking Hendrick Motorsports now in 2023 expectations. Larson, I think, is probably going to be, a multi-time winner. I think he'll have a shot at least 2 victories, at least one, make the playoffs. What he does in the playoffs, we'll have to wait and see. You look at Chase, same thing, a race or two in victory lane, shot at the playoffs postseason. But I don't know about the championship. You look at the 24 car, William Byron. I think he'll do more of the same of what he did this year. And every year we're waiting for him to have a breakout year, and it's like, okay, he kind of had one. Okay, kind of had one, but not really, and it just kind of never happens. So maybe it'll happen sometime here in the near future, but maybe not. And then Bowman, who I think will have a better year, but I mean, a victory, I think, would be kind of his benchmark, and I do think he'll get a victory at some point. RFK, Roush Fenway, Keselowski Racing, I do think that Brad and the 17 are both going to get better, but I still think that they have a lot of work that they need to do in order to really advance that program. They have a technical alliance now with Rick Ware, and good for them, but I mean, I don't anticipate anything really coming of that. Honestly, I think that they're going to struggle for victories. I think one of them will break through, if not both of them, but even then it'll be a struggle, and I don't see Keselowski making the championship again. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe he'll kind of show us, but I doubt it. Spire Motorsports, Corey LaJoie, same thing. He'll have a shot here or there for a victory, but no victories, I don't think, in 2023. Nothing against Corey. I just don't think the equipment's there and the resources are there, and Ty Dillon comes in with virtually no expectations on him in the 77, and honestly, I think he'll be caution after caution. I think he'll be off the lead lap race after race because it's worse equipment than he had last year, and that's what he did last year. So no, he's going to have a horrible year, but we're come to expect that. Looking at Joe Gibbs Racing, Denny Hamlin in the 11 car, they're going to lose FedEx, period. I hope they don't, but they're going to lose FedEx, and they're probably going to lose Denny Hamlin, period. I don't think it's going to happen. It was a multi-year deal that was renewed in 2021. So honestly, that just means that for sure he's good until 2023. The end of 2023. So I think we're going to lose the FedEx Toyota in the Cup Series. I think Denny Hamlin will leave Joe Gibbs Racing because I don't think they can afford to keep him. I don't think they have a sponsor for him, but I can guarantee you Denny Hamlin will find a sponsor for himself and a third 2311 car in 2024. I said it. I think that that's what's going to happen. I really do. Because their priority is that Ty Gibbs Wreckfest that's about to happen, and Hamlin's going to fall through the cracks, which is disappointing, but inevitable. Does this mean that this is Hamlin's last year in Cup? No. He'll start a third car for himself, and he'll get it going, and I do think that that's where it'll be. In the chat, Jackhammer YT, JT, I should say, Byron was rust needed one more year in Xfinity. You're not wrong. If Dylan sucks again, he's probably going back to Xfinity. I hope he does. He's never been a good Cup Series driver. And honestly, I don't think he's capable of racing in the Cup Series full time. I think he should go down to Xfinity and race there full time for his grandfather, which is what he's doing part time this year. I hope in 2024 or at least the latter half of 2023, he jumps into the Xfinity car and has some fun in it, hopefully wins some races. He did try to race for Joe Gibbs Racing a few seasons ago, I believe, and it wasn't good. And I do remember that. And I remember that that is something that really showed me that maybe this guy has lost his edge. He needs to regain that confidence. I think Xfinity's where he could do it. Jackhammer in the chat. If Denny leaves, I think he'll retire, assuming he started. No, I disagree, Jackhammer. I don't think he's going to retire. I think he'll get into one of his own cars and kind of go the Kyle Busch route with the Xfinity program, trying to win, struggling to win in his own equipment, and then eventually breaking through. I don't see him jumping out of a Cup car because he loses FedEx. Really, I don't. But then again, maybe the FedEx deal doesn't work out with Joe Gibbs, and maybe Hamlin can get it done himself with his own car. I don't know. I think it'd be cool. And hopefully Joe Gibbs lets him keep the number 11 if he does leave Gibbs at the end of the 2023 season and take it over to 23-11. I think that would be cool to see the 23 and the 11 under the same house. But I don't know. I really don't know. But going through the rest of the Gibbs organization, you have MTJ, who's probably in his last year, who's probably not going to win a race and probably going to struggle to make the playoffs. Honestly, that's how I see him. You have Bell, who's going to presumably have a really good year, hopefully, for his sake. And you have Ty, who's going to struggle for most of the season, but get the best cars every single week. So I don't know. That's going to be a fascinating story to watch. We'll have to wait and see. NASCAR King in the chat, do you know what the next-gen car needs? 900 horsepower like in 2014 and remove the rear diffuser for short tracks. I'm not an engineer, so I don't know if that'll work, but that sounds like a good plan to me. Bring it. Try something. At this point, just take all those cars out there to a short track. Try something with these cars. Throw a bunch of different packages and see what the driver's like and see what produces the best racing. Let's do that, huh? Testing. Michael Turner in the chat. Hamlin most likely in his third 2311 car in 2024 loses FedEx. That's exactly what I said, Michael. Thank you for agreeing with me. Jackhammer in the chat. If he does leave, Toyota will become an issue with 2311. I don't think so. Why would it? Because Denny has a very strong relationship with Toyota, and 2311 has separated itself from Gibbs, and I do not think that that is a coincidence. They started building their own cars in, I want to say, 2021? No, 22 they did last season. And then they honestly started their own pit program because they were getting their pit crew from Gibbs, and they were getting the short end of the stick, literally. They started honestly prioritizing 2311 a little bit more, and Denny stepped in and made some changes, and it worked at the latter half of the season, and they announced that they were starting their own program this year, pit program. So they're stepping away from Gibbs, and they're working with Toyota more directly. So no, I don't think that Hamlin's going to have a problem with Toyota if he leaves Joe Gibbs Racing at the end of the 23 season. Truex so far is having a bad year. Yeah, imagine Gibbs winning the 500. Yeah, don't get me started, Jackhammer. Possible, but unlikely. Michael Turner, Hamlin is staying put with Toyota. I agree, Michael. Looking at the rest of the field, Rick Ware. No real information on who's in the 15. Obviously, Cody's in the 51. He got a little bit better this year, and honestly, he's going to be the little engine that could. He's going to be the guy that honestly is just going to complete laps and hopefully just kind of be there at the end. We'll have to wait and see. Colleague Racing, starting with AJ Allmendinger, will win at least one or two races, will make the champion or will make the playoffs. I think will be round of 12, maybe round of 8, if not better. We'll have to wait and see, honestly. But Allmendinger's going to do some cool stuff in that car. Mark my words. And honestly, the 31's not that far behind either. Justin Haley showed flashes of brilliance. And I do think that having AJ on his team is only going to make him better. It did in the Xfinity series. So I think that those two working together on the track is definitely going to produce some good results. Potentially, Haley could win in that number 31 car at the end of, or sometime in 2023 and make the postseason. That's definitely a possibility. Going through the rest of the field, the Wood brothers, Harrison Burton, number 21. Won't win a race, won't make the playoffs, but I think he'll have flashes of brilliance. He's still learning. I think he moved up to Cup way too quick. And I think he'll need at least the 2023 season to kind of get his bearings. But his contract's up after this season. So Harrison Burton's in a contract year. We'll have to wait and see if he gets renewed in the 21. But if I'm the Wood brothers, who do you get? I mean, they've always kind of been the feeder program for Penske, and nobody's going anywhere at Penske. So, yeah. I don't know. And speaking of Penske, Joey Logano, didn't get a chance to talk about him. More of the same. He'll win a handful of races. He'll make the championship. He'll make the postseason, I should say. And he'll contend to be one of the final four, just like he did this year. He's going to do it smart. They do have a long-term contract extension, so I don't see Logano going anywhere. He's Team Penske through and through. Ryan Blaney, his teammate. When is he going to live up to his potential? I said it. I mean, the guy honestly continues to get the short end of the stick at Penske, and frankly, I think he needs to leave Penske. I think he needs to go somewhere where he'll be at least given the same courtesy that he's afforded his teammates, but Logano runs all over him and definitely uses him as a stepping stone on the track to get what he wants, and that's Logano's job. But Ryan needs to be less of a team player and more of a Ryan Blaney player, and right now he's not. That's something that's hurting him, but maybe he'll break through. We did talk about Tyler Reddick a little bit, but 23XI as a whole, Bubba Wallace, he'll win a race or two. He'll make the playoffs, I think, for the first time in his career, and that'll be a massive deal for NASCAR. A lot of people were making, a lot of assumptions about Root Insurance leaving the program and this. Guys, this is not news. Like, sponsors come and go every single year, especially in this day and age. This isn't new to NASCAR. This isn't new to racing. It sucks when you lose sponsors like Root Insurance, which is probably leaving. Wheaties, which is also probably leaving. But Bubba's got enough sponsors. We're being told that sponsorship was sold out for both cars in 2023. So, I mean, they've got the funding. I mean, and it's Michael Jordan's Cup team. He can literally find the change in his purse wallet in one of his 7 billion cars and pay for a Cup program for its entire season and put the Jordan brand on the car, which is probably what's going to happen a few times in 2023. So they're going to be fine. I don't have a worry about 23XI, and Tyler Reddick will win multiple races. I think he'll be the new face of Toyota, and I think that this is the year that 23XI takes over as the top dog at Toyota. Joe Gibbs Racing was that, and I think, honestly, at the end of the 2023 season, what's going to happen, 23XI will expand to a 3-car team with Hamlin going over to his own number 11 at 23XI. Hopefully, he's able to keep that number. And I think we're going to see Gibbs collapse to a 3-car organization, if not a 2-car. Because you'll be losing Hamlin, you'll be losing Martin Truex Jr. at the end of the season, so you only have the 2 young guys. Do we see a third Cup car in 2024 out of Joe Gibbs Racing? I don't know, but this is the year that 23XI will win more races in the Cup Series than Joe Gibbs Racing for Toyota, and Toyota will fully embrace 23XI as the top dog over there. I'm calling it right now. That's my prediction. Hendrick Motorsports, we talked about. Kaulig, we talked about. Front row, you got Michael McDowell, the number 34. Loves his back. He's got a new crew chief that, honestly, I think is not really going to give Michael McDowell what he needs. I think McDowell will go back to being a mid-pack driver. I don't think he's going to win a race. I don't think he's going to make the playoffs. I don't even think he's going to contend. I think he's going to struggle to stay on the lead lap. But we'll have to wait and see, because Harris left that organization as crew chief to be the crew chief for Bowman. They got Travis Peterson, who is a great engineer. I just think that the synergy is probably not going to be there. Todd Gilliland, no expectations on him. He's not going to make the playoffs or win a race, unfortunately. But maybe something will change. Maybe something will happen. Not sure. In the chat, Jackhammer, as soon as Gibbs becomes the image, it's been dropping since. Yeah, you're right. When Ty Gibbs got over there, the quality of all the cars at Joe Gibbs Racing definitely went down. And honestly, I think that they need to go back to working on those cars. I think they need to go back to focusing on their resources. And I think that they have to acknowledge that they are no longer the top dog at Toyota, and they need to go back to the drawing board. Will that happen? I don't know. We saw Petty GMS rebranded as Legacy Motor Club or Legacy MC in the Cup Series for 2023. Noah Gragson taking over the number 42 Chevy with an unknown number of sponsors. We know that they signed a couple of new sponsors, but nothing official yet. But Luke Lambert is his crew chief. I think that they're going to do great things. I think they're going to take the first half of the season to get accustomed to Noah in the Cup car, and Noah will build his confidence in that car, make it his own. But, we saw flashes of brilliance out of Eric Jones last year. I mean, the guy won Darlington. That is not nothing. And the fact that, you had Eric kind of doing it all by himself with Ty Gibbs not Ty Gibbs, but Ty Dillon kind of taking up some equipment and not doing the same thing in the 42. I do think that they're going to make a step up this year. I expect them to. I expect Noah and Eric to both win a race and presumably make the playoffs. Maybe Noah's race doesn't come until after the playoffs start and he doesn't make the postseason, but I do think he'll win a race or at least compete for a race or two here and there. JTV Darty Racing. What the hell? I mean, Ricky Stenhouse Jr. getting a new crew chief with Mike Kelly over there, and y'all, they have more than enough resources. I think it's time to acknowledge that Ricky Stenhouse Jr. should not be in the Cup Series anymore. I really don't. I think his glory days are way gone, and I think that he's not capable anymore because JTD Daugherty has the resources. They have as good a car as RCR, so Ricky, in theory, should be contending, and he's not. And they're playing the old adage of bring in a crew chief that Ricky worked with in the past, and that formula has kind of run its course and produced no results. So they're trying more of the same broken record, and they're going to continue to be early out, not on the lead lap and in the way, and that's a shame. Live Fast Motorsports, BJ putting Josh Bilicki in the car. Everybody loves BJ. He's going to have more support from ECR engines. Honestly, they're going to be finish a lap or two down. It's not going to be great though. But we'll have to wait and see. In the chat, Jack Hammer 2311 is going to be the top dog in the with the new shop in 2024. Rennick, Wallace, Kurt, all there. They'll be the Joe Gibbs Racing of this era. I agree with that. Jack Hammer, JTD is waiting to be bought out. I don't know about that. Maybe there are so many owners in that group. It's insane. I mean, I feel like I could buy in for next to nothing at this point, but they have the sponsors, they have the resources. They're just not doing anything with it and struggling to finish on the lead lap. So it's a shame that they're not getting it done. And I don't think they will ever get it done. Honestly, something needs to change over there and nothing is at this point. So I don't know. We'll wait and see. Daniel Suarez is in a contract year, and I think he's got all eyes on him because when you have Ross Chastain, at one point, everybody at Trackhouse was high on Suarez. Oh, yeah, he's our guy. We built our program around Suarez. It's going to be so great. And then what happened? Nothing. He won a race, which is great, and really struggled and didn't really put together consistent runs. And we all attribute it to, it's a new team. They're learning. Daniel's getting better with this team. They're getting better. It's going to be great. And then Ross came on board, won the first race, won the second race, I believe won the third race, and then Suarez finally won a race. It was like, okay, now Suarez isn't the guy over there. Chastain clearly is the face of that organization and arguably NASCAR at this point. And that's something that you need to acknowledge if you're Daniel Suarez. He's got to step it up. And honestly, if he doesn't step it up this season, he's probably not going to have a ride next season. Maybe Trackhouse will sign him onto a one-year extension depending on what happens with sponsors. But Trackhouse is still very much, I think, looking for sponsors and looking at their options past Suarez. Mark my words. In the chat, Jackhammer, Kroger deal is going to be up soon. I believe they only won 2 races. Have they? Ever? I mean, I believe so, and I don't think the Kroger deal is necessarily going to be great, but then at the same time, they've produced record profits. So, I mean, they're definitely making money. The question is will they continue their motorsport support? I see that sponsorship shifting over to another organization before I see them leaving NASCAR altogether. But I could be wrong. We'll have to wait and see. As far as part-time teams are concerned in the Cup Series, going through a couple of them, Colleague is going to presumably enter the number 13 for Chandler Smith, running Daytona, the Spring Richmond, the All-Star Race, Fall Talladega, and Fall Phoenix for presumably Chandler jumping into the Cup Series in 24 if he, has that ability. I don't know. We'll see what Chandler Smith does, but I like getting him some seat time in the Cup car and kind of using that car as like let's try to just go out and win races and try new crazy things. Team Hesburgh, no idea what's happening with the 27 or the 26 if they run those cars with Jacques Villeneuve or anybody else. No real information yet. NY Racing, the number 44. They ran a couple of races early on in 22 with Biffle, and that came together pretty last minute. No word on what's happening now. The Money team, the number 50 Floyd Mayweather team, is kind of still pulling things together. They're trying to find sponsors to run, presumably, the Daytona 500, but they ran the 500 in February last year. They ran Coda and they ran Charlotte. We could see, presumably, the same happen this season with Tony Uri Jr. over there, but I don't know. We'll have to wait and see. And again, Beard Oil is going to be racing a handful of races with Austin Hill in the number 62 Beard Oil Racing Chevy. Daytona 500, Dega, the Chicago Street Course, Michigan, Daytona, and Dega. So cool. They added some races, which is cool. I like seeing that program expand. We know that Travis Pastrana is going to be in a third 2311 Toyota, presumably 67 with Black Rifle Coffee. Kurt could run a few races, we're hearing, but nothing is official yet, so we'll have to wait and see. We know that Legacy Motors also entering the 84 for Jimmy Johnson for a handful of races. We'll have to wait and see what that schedule is. It hasn't been announced yet, but we just know it's the Daytona 500 at this time, and presumably Project 91 Trackhouse Racing's third entry is coming back at some point with Darian Grubb as the crew chief over there. We don't know. They're not running the Daytona 500, we know that, but they ran the initial plans were 6 to 8 races in 2023. But we'll have to wait and see, honestly. It's going to be interesting to see what happens. We in the chat, Sly Supersonic. I knew JTD Darty was going to be up for sale the moment in 2021 when they announced they were cutting from 2 to 1 car. That's a good indicator. I don't think they're necessarily looking to sell. I just think they tried to consolidate their resources to a single car. But again, they've done nothing with the amount of resources that at this point is an RCR, if not better, kind of car. Jackhammer in the chat, considering Chandler has been great, known since the AA400 back in like 2024, AA400. Not sure what you mean by that one, but yeah, Chandler Smith, I think, is going to be a phenomenal driver. I think he's very much still developing. I hope he runs in the Xfinity Series for at least 2, if not 3 seasons. I think you can only benefit from seat time. We'll have to wait and see. He was like 13, 14. New York Racing isn't coming back. That's what I'm hearing too. But I mean, that equipment is going to end up somewhere, and that could be another team altogether. We don't know. Connor is probably going to be back in the 15. Yeah, he probably is. They're still trying to get that deal done. Everybody was like, oh, well, he's our fallback guy. Maybe we can make it happen. But will we? All-American 400. Thank you, Jack Hammer, for the clarification on that. Yeah, no, Chandler's great, and I don't know. We'll have to see what happens with the 50 car, the Money team. I think they're still trying to pull together something. Obviously, the Tony Kanaan deal fell through, but honestly, after that, I don't know. We'll have to wait and see what that organization does, but it's going to be interesting to see how the season progresses, develops, and how it goes forward. I'm looking forward to it, man. Like I said, we are doing this show live. From the LA Coliseum next Sunday night. Same time, presumably around the same time. As soon as the Fox broadcast ends, we're allowed to go on per contract rules with NASCAR. We're not going to step on those rules. We don't want to get into that mess, so we're going to wait till the Fox broadcast is done. We don't know how long that'll be, though. So presumably we're going to try to go as close to this normal time, but we're going to post it on social media as soon as we know. It's going to be kind of a keep an eye on the channel, keep an eye on my socials at Hey Alan Bailey next week, so that we can find out exactly when we're going live. So we'll keep an eye on that. Jackhammer in the chat, the money team reportedly purchased the New York racing equipment. That's what I heard as well. Again, we'll have to wait and see. I know for a fact the money team didn't have that much as far as equipment, so that seems very likely to me. But again, we will have to wait and see. You can help support the channel for free by hitting the subscribe button, liking this video, and sharing it on your social media accounts. It really does help the show grow a lot, so thank you, sincerely. We also have a brand new second gaming channel here on YouTube, Alan Battles, and you can also follow us on social media at Hey Alan Bailey for more information on next week's show. We're going to be putting up some videos and some social media content from the LA Clash starting Friday. We're very excited about that. And obviously, you can log on to AmericanRacingNetwork.com for the latest motorsports news. ARN, the Motorsports Authority. I want to thank you all so much for watching Shifting Gears. It is Sunday, January 29th, 2023. NASCAR is back this weekend in Los Angeles at the Coliseum. I truly cannot wait. I'm very excited for it. If y'all are out there, send me a DM on Twitter or anywhere on social media at Hey Alan Bailey. Let me know you're out there. We're going to try to do a meetup probably either Saturday or Sunday. Obviously, it's got to be one of the two. But we'll go ahead and we'll put that out on socials as soon as we know where and when that'll be. Thank you so much for watching. For Shifting Gears, I'm Alan Bailey. This weekend in Los Angeles. We'll see you at the track, gearheads. Have a good night.